would, quote, give students a comprehensive understanding of the arc of
Welcome in, everyone.
Hello, hello.
How's everyone doing?
Hi.
Hmm.
What's up, everybody? I'm on borrowed time. I got a colonoscopy tomorrow, and I just took my solution an hour ago, so I'm waiting for the show to start.
Literally, huh? Yeah, just bring your phone in there, hit the mute button, and you'll be good to go. Please hit the mute button. I can hear it now. He forgot to hit the mute button, and we all listened to that.
Oh, yeah.
At least the meeting taker will have a recording of it, and we would definitely use it against you later.
Dude, when I went to Nicholls State like in 1990, and they had a teacher that used a wireless lavalier phone microphone, and he went off to the back, didn't realize he left it on. Went to the bathroom. We heard the whole show, dude. Everything, all the splatter,
Oh,
and we were giggling our ass off when he came back. And I think someone told him by the next class, and he didn't use that microphone for the rest of the semester.
I bet not. more people have gotten in trouble with hot mics. Say the wrong thing. We got somebody from Ohio in here, Meshmaker.
Yeah. So I joined you for a second time.
Great, great.
Glad to have you.
Thank you. We got a lot going on. We've been stealing from you guys quite a bit.
Hey, we did the same thing when we first got started.
Yeah, I seen Scarlett's post about congratulations on how much you guys have moved, but you guys have influenced a lot of other people too, so you guys should be congratulated for that too. I know you guys are growing, and it's interesting to see how you go, but you guys have influenced just not our mesh area in Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, but a couple others that we've ran across too, so be proud about that.
Very good. Does Indiana have a lot of mesh?
Not yet. We just got coordinated with them, got them started going to Mesh Mapper, started mapping out, got some trustees over there, and it's coming along. So we've got pretty good. We've got intermittent connectivity between Columbus and Cincinnati and North Kentucky. We should have that in the next, by the end of summer, we think we'll have consistent communication between Columbus and Cincinnati. And we're good all the way up into Michigan in some cases. So we just keep
Sweet.
building it out.
Yeah, we get Indianapolis going. I'll send a mesh unit over to my daughter. She's very technical. She'd probably get into it.
Oh, nice. Hook her up with
Yeah.
us because we
Yeah.
got people pushing into that way.
Yep. And the girl's got an aeronautical degree, aeronautical engineering degree.
Fantastic.
Yep. Went to the same
Yeah.
school where the pilots that flew were trained at, crashed into the World Trade Center, the Embry-Riddle School.
I think we got the idea from you guys, so I'm not absolutely positive, but we've got a couple developers that are working. I can't believe the hours they put in, but we've got custom firmware now. So when we get a beginner, they can pop it on. It'll bring them up a repeater, bring up a node, a companion, as well as an observer, and automatically feed everything. They don't have to do any CLI magic or nothing. So that's really been helping the uptick quite a bit.
That's what we call the KISS method right there.
That's right.
Exactly. Perfect.
And having a no fuss setup definitely bring a lot more people into it. And some people just want to open the box and go. They don't want to have to tinker with settings and whatnot.
Yeah, now that we're engaging the government entities with firehouses and all the tall stuff, the Ohio Mark system, it makes a big difference. We got a couple park boards we're into now, so we'll start picking up speed. Like I said, by the end of the summer, we should be pretty well. Our backbone should be pretty well established.
Yeah, especially if you guys can get in with the government and get the repeaters up on the statewide network towers.
Yeah, there's a lot of
That'd be
resistance to
cool.
that, but I have an inside track for that. So because I'm an operator of a whole county system connected to the Ohio Mark, so I have an inside track for that. So we're working that angle.
Yeah, I remember you saying that last time.
Yeah. So we got the interest coming together. So we're starting to get the EMAs. I do a presentation here, like 45 days or something, to the state EMA association. So we'll see what we can shake that loose there. It'll take some time to get them convinced, but once we get them going, we're good.
Hey, I need everybody to share my forms for the mesh core repeater because I need more people to answer it. Because after 48 people have answered it, and I'm gonna go over some of the answers with y'all. Like things are still 50-50. It just goes to show you not everybody can make up their mind on what they want.
Was
Put it
the
in
biggest
comments,
decision
so-
between metal box and plastic box?
Yes.
Yeah.
I need to find a nice design for a vehicle roof mount node that has a solar panel on it. I can just plop on top of my truck and let it live there.
I've seen a couple of 3D builds of it.
Yeah.
But the 3D builds are black, and I wondered about putting some kind of electronic in the black, in a black case the whole time. That like right now while it's 6:30 p.m. and I look on my trusty thermometer behind me and it says it's 108 degrees with the heat index.
Oh yeah.
Which one is that one? No, I don't, and I'm working on supper right now. I can maybe run out there in a few minutes and get one, but yeah, and all it is, it's a little small box with I think a 3,000 milliamp hour battery and a V4 uh with a little uh muzzy antenna on it and two magnets, and it sits in your hand. I mean, it's little bitty. I mean, I wouldn't put it up.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
There you go.
Yeah, hang on. I'll go out and I'll get y'all a image here in a second. Hang on.
And I wouldn't even mind throwing some seed dollars at somebody to build me one.
I just added a few pictures of it in chat, so y'all can check it out.
Very cool to see.
Yeah, something exactly like that, just with the rubber magnet so it doesn't scratch. But short of that, yeah, that's something exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, that was an early one I made, and it's on the roof of my Jeep, so I'm really not worried if it scratches anything up. But yeah,
Y'all haven't seen his Jeep. It's already got a couple scratches in it from those rocks at Sicily Island and Hot Springs. And Mike, it stays charged pretty good with that little one solar cell.
yeah, I could log in right now. It's probably sitting at 98%. It now, I'm sure if it was in an area where it had a lot of use, because right now I have repeat and adverts off on it because there's no use in having it riding all over, sending all that out. But when I was using it, it held pretty good. So
Sweet.
I've got one built like that, and it reaches pretty far.
Because I don't need to do repeat. I just want to have it outside the truck since the inside's like a Faraday cage.
Now, the only issue I've had with, I have a companion that's on my roof also, and I use it. The only problem is if you're riding around uh, mapping, those that battery in there won't hold up all day. So
I was thinking about doing that or for mapping and whatnot. I got a little access port on my windshield cowling for my windshield where my windshield wipers are. I could tuck a node in there with a big enough battery and stick the antenna out by the hood and just have it sit there driving around.
right.
It looked goofy, but it would work.
I just added a picture in chat of the one that I use as my war driving unit, and it's on the roof of the uh, Jeep also.
Oh, nice. So how long does that one last without the auxiliary solar panel?
That one I got a 10,000 in it. It'll last me day and a half because I have almost an hour drive each way, and even on passive, it was eating the battery up. So I got a charge controller in it, and that's a 12-volt panel, and I've never had it under 94%.
Nice. Was that just like a little hobby box you bought to put that in?
Yeah, they're off Amazon. It's like like a 2.5 inch by 2 inch high by like 6 inch long little box, and then I got 4 rubberized magnets on the corners of it, and then I ran my solar hookup out the bottom and over, and I hadn't had any issues out of it. So
Well, they call it a project box. Yeah, I found it.
yeah, let's see if I can find the link for the one that I used.
Here's mine that's USB powered. It's a little bit bigger of a box. You can't put a battery in there if you need to.
You can put enough batteries in there for it to last a month. I think it's huge.
Yep.
I just added the link in chat for the one that I'm using right now. So
Yeah. Okay, cool. Because that's small enough to just butt it up against the cargo rail on top of the roof, and it just kind of sit there with the little antenna sticking out.
I can tell you that with the four, I think they're engine of quarter rubberized magnets, that it will stay on there at the upper end of interstate speeds. So I've heard.
Which magnets did you find for that one?
Let me look real fast.
Appreciate it.
I mean, we know those Jeeps don't go very fast without getting a wobble, huh?
I mean, in off road, I've had it over 85, so you know.
That ain't bad. I don't think my TJ will go that fast. I might do 80.
Oh, it'll roll over 85. I just it was just getting a little bit too sketchy where I was at, so I said, nah.
I got that old 2-wheel drive Wrangler pad up on the upper 90s.
Yep. as long as it's got the one she had was 2-wheel drive, huh?
Yeah.
And you have a life insurance policy.
I was about to say it was like a death wish once you got that fast.
Man, some of them Jeeps you can't drive over 55 without starting wobbling.
That's why you if you're ever in one and you get that, just hit the gas. It'll get right.
Yep.
All right, I put the link to the magnets in chat that I used.
Got it. Thank you.
So tomorrow we're supposed to be installing a repeater at the state Homeland Security office. Suppose I'm waiting on a call back, but
That's the one over off Lobdell?
yes.
Okay.
I'm not going too crazy with the antenna size or anything like that because I figured they got plenty of repeaters around there. So just to kind of keep a smaller form factor, less chances of debris hitting it during hurricanes and storms and stuff like that. I wanted to go with a smaller antenna because Pat's got between Pat's repeater on One America and the Marriott and mine on Sherwood and stuff like that. I figured there's plenty enough repeaters higher up around it that it should have no problem getting out. And I found an old iPad I had, and I put the mesh core stuff on the iPad, and I had an old actually it's one of the V3s that Scarlett donated a while back. I had one left over, so everything was donated and handed to him, and I think by putting them online with that's going to open up a lot of doors when word gets out.
What antenna are you gonna put on it?
I don't know. You can't ask me no questions. Listen, you laugh, but I'm not against. I got like 4 or 5 alphas just sitting around doing nothing. I really am thinking about. Alpha has that radiation pattern that looks like 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, as I say. They might work okay over there with those other repeaters higher up. I don't know, then I'll bring another antenna as a backup that when I test it, if it doesn't look like it's performing well, I don't know.
Who are you and what have you done with Grumpy?
Oh, why? What are you talking about?
You just said an alpha antenna. You gave it praise for a second, it sounded like.
No, no, no. If you listen to the wording carefully, I said because it only shoots out RF at 10 and 2 o'clock. Most antennas is at 3 and 9 o'clock. I'm using the disadvantages of the alpha, towards this project.
It's just like when Grumpy said the Seed P1 Pro is the best tower top repeater.
Dude, you really
That's what I
smoking
heard.
crack. I wouldn't be going through all this shit with Scarlett right now if putting these questionnaires out and begging people online to fill out questionnaires if I thought that.
Oh, you guys don't like that? You don't like the Seed Pro? Because we just got 200 of them coming our way because of Grumpy's recommendation.
I hope you use my Amazon code. That's all I can say.
I got 3 of them. They work fine for me, but mine aren't high up repeaters or mid level repeaters.
I got 4 of them, and until you get right next to them, like driving by on the interstate, I have one on the exit off I-10, and then it's just crazy. You coming across the lake, and before you get to the curve, if y'all familiar with the curve on I-10 as you're coming from Metairie towards Laplace, I'm looking at my mesh mapper, and you don't see it at all. And the thing is high. The thing's higher than what the local interstate is, and that's a bridge right there. And you don't even see it on mesh mapper until you make that corner, and you basically got clear line of sight. I think it's more the power. I think it's just I don't want to lie to you. Like, I don't remember if this was on Facebook, if this was on Discord, if this was, because I'm in so many mesh core things, YouTube or something. But somebody else said when they measured it, I didn't measure it. When they measured it, it wasn't even putting out. What's it supposed to be putting out? Like 22 dBm or something like that. And it wasn't even putting that out. It was like 19 or something. Now again,
I've seen some reports of it doing 18.
see, okay, I don't like bashing shit when I don't have, like, I didn't actually do the test, but so you must have seen that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think 18 sounds more like it when you look at the one I have in reserve, a clear line of sight all the way down, Airline Highway. You still can't see it when you get far enough away from it. It's crazy. So if y'all bored, y'all really need something to talk about. I'm going to share my screen with y'all on let me try to get this switched over. Kind of what we've seen with the questionnaire. Just to show y'all that people, everybody's got kind of different opinions on what would make the fucking find it. All right, how's that? So far, I've had 50 responses. So just remember that 50 responses. I'm hoping I can get 150 at some point. I've been trying to start to share it more on Facebook stuff. I don't want to go spam people's Discords and stuff. But I'm hoping that, I'm just curious to get people's input. So, y'all stop me at any point if y'all want to discuss anything. So, of course, I have to put, do you believe the perfect mesh core repeater exists? And somebody says, yes, the SenseCap Solar. So, do I need to go any further with some of these answers? Would you rather see a more expensive or cheaper? Somebody actually said they'd rather see a smaller limited repeater. Well, you know what? That was kind of my sarcastic question there, test. If you believe that's what's out there, then why even worry about one? You have to look at this. I had to reword one of these. What I found out is that if you look, misspelled Rockland. And what I found out with Google polls. First of all, I did try to do a Survey Monkey on this. Survey Monkey for free only allows you to do like 25 responses. And then if you want to pay for it, the next package up is like $100 or $200 a year or something like that. And I wasn't paying that shit. So with Google Docs, if you reword a question, it keeps the first question, on here. And I guess that's good in case you change the question at some point. You can't skew the poll for your way. But so if you look at it, you got 75% who say they want a N female, I guess like for the Rockland backcountry. So I kind of figured it was gonna go that way, but again, I wanted to ask. I know some people said they wanted their port on the bottom just to make sure everything was tight on top. But so far you got 32 people who want the antenna port on the top. So I thought that was just a little interesting. The inside the box. I've had several people. I reached out to somebody in California and I asked them, what do you think would be a good repeater? And he says, I want you to put space in it that if I want to add anything to it, even if it's not mesh related, I want to be able to add crap to it. So I was a question I asked, and you had 31 people say they want spacious. I like spacious just because I think you can also breathe a little better, even if you don't put a fan. Where, to me, if it's tight and it gets hot, I don't know. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think it needs to be tight, like everything kind of tight in there? Or do you think it needs to have some kind of space?
Well, you also got to think about the tower climber having to carry a bigger box up.
Yeah, well, that's not my problem. I don't have to carry it up. Cause I get you, Pat, and that is something I thought about because that's my question that goes back about the batteries. When you start throwing all these 21700 batteries in there, like how heavy is this thing going to get? But I also took this thought that if we're going to create the perfect box, when you decide to take stuff out just because of weight and you don't make the perfect box, you see what I'm saying? Because if some people are just going to carry this on top of a building or on top of their house, you don't have to worry about tower climber, right? I don't know. Wi-Fi antenna. The antenna I have on one of my towers is one that Robbie found, and it's like a directional dipole on PCB board antenna, and that thing actually will go over 300 feet. The external whip that I've been using on my repeaters, I can only get, so far I've only tested up to about 220, 230 feet. I'm sure they got to have more Wi-Fi antennas around that when we get to that point we can look. But I just wanted to know if some people wanted a more directional antenna internal or if they wanted it external. You can see the answer to that one. 31 people wanted external. This one, I'm gonna ask y'all thoughts. A USB port with the cover on the bottom, kind of like what the CP1 Pro has, where you can plug directly into that repeater if you have to for some reason, or do you want to have to open up the back, possibly have to remove the batteries or whatever else it is to get to that USB port? And I really thought more people would have said they want a port on the bottom, but as you can see right now, no holes is winning. What are your thoughts on that? Anybody?
I don't see why you need it. I mean, if you're going up there to work on it, you just open the case up. If it's like a plastic case or one that's got a hinge on it.
Well, either way, the first time you get it in, my plan was to have these boards that Scarlett's making pre-programmed with MeshCore. But either way, you have to be able to get into it from the beginning to put it on, to name it, to program it, to do whatever you got to do with it. And so you're going to have to take the back off and USB into it. If, I don't know.
My question to you on their survey is this for like, I rate them like high repeaters, up high, medium, and low. And it seems like you're trying to build one
Mike, you were saying
repeater
something?
for everything.
I agree with that. There should be 3 different repeater designs for 3 different applications.
Okay, I completely missed it. If y'all said something, I completely missed it for some reason. The 3.
We should have different.
Yeah, like having like
designs.
3 different designs, like a home repeater, a mid-level, and then like your tower big boy repeater.
Yep.
And the big
Agreed.
tall one, if it's on a big tower, it probably should be metal or aluminum, just
Yes.
to keep the RF out.
I don't want y'all to laugh me off this live, but I look at this. Me and my wife, I had to go to the doctor early. Me and my wife talked about this. Is like, you don't know what's going to happen with this. This could be like, perfect example is I told a couple of y'all on the phone this. I had a couple of people asking me about selling the DIY boxes that we've been doing so far. Start selling them because people don't want the other ones. They want kind of what I was putting together. So last week, I put together a little form and I started telling people, hey, if you want me to sell DIY devices, I'm going to sell them and I'll do them for about, say, $40 over whatever the cost is to build it, whatever parts you want in it. And that $40 is going to go towards funding, Scarlett with the boards and whatever like that. And whatever R&D or parts we need to build to make this thing happen. I've sold 0 so far. So part of me wonders, is this going to be a complete waste of time? Or do you start getting orders in? And I just think if you do happen to start getting several orders in from around the country, it's going to be a lot easier to have the same box that you're putting together with the same guts in it, made the same way, versus, does this guy want this one? Does somebody want this one? Does somebody want this one? Does that make sense?
I can tell you one thing, you bring those, and I know the guy from Ohio will probably agree with me, you bring those to the Dayton Ham Fest, and you set up a table, I don't know what it costs to set a table up. The people who were setting up sold everything they had for mesh stuff.
Well, I am, my goal is to have my first prototypes ready to go, or everything basically ready to go by Slidell Ham Fest, and that was going to be my first. I don't know when Dayton Ham Fest is, but yeah, I am contemplating doing that. But again, I think I'm getting the cart before the horse because, guys, I'm new to this kind of stuff, like not mesh stuff, but as far as making something like this for the masses, and then how do you distribute it? How do you sell it? How do you, like, this was basically me having the
But
idea that I'm gonna have to lean on some other people. And of course, I've got all these people reaching out to me now, like, oh, I know how you can get hooked up with marketing and distributing ship and all. I'm like, hold on, let us just get the shit together first, and then we'll go from there. But like I said, but you can see like the USB port. So like with this, so I've had 2 extra people answer this actually since we started. So we'll see. Somebody said you could put an easy to access USB pigtail in the inside of the box. Who bought this perfectly are people who want the best, else they would have bought something already.
In my boxes, I use a just a USB 90 so that it's easy to plug and unplug.
Well, that's what, if you look at the comments, that's what Abel Non says. You can put an easy to access USB pigtail inside the box.
Right, yeah.
See, I look
same
at it.
thing.
Yeah, I look at it as, I know, like, I call it bricked, but I bricked 2 of the Seed P1 Pros. That's what kind of pushed me to do this, because I got pissed off at them. When I tried to use the little iPhone app to go into DFU mode and push firmware with the 1.16, I bricked both of them, and that's when I got pissed. And 1 rack repeater. So I had to go out there with a bucket truck and hook my laptop up. But it was easy because it was on the outside. I just had to go run out there, plug my USB into the USB port on the bottom of the repeater, and boom, it was done. I just thought it'd be a pain in the ass if I had to
So
actually
why not
take
the
it down
D5 kit?
for some reason to get into the back of it to do the USB. Does that make sense?
Why not
Well-
use the D5 kit? The D5 kit has Wi-Fi and it has
If you say
915.
something, I can't hear me. I don't know what's wrong with my. Maybe I'm streaming too much stuff, but
Can you post a link of that D5 kit in the chat, please?
We have in the past.
Can you top post it? I don't know, was
Can
that
somebody-
in the
can-
past
can
today
somebody post
or?
it?
Yeah, and you can put a rack in it, or you can put a
talking to me?
V4 in it.
Yeah, so I think the only thing about that is the first of all the bracket it comes with. I think it only does SMA by stock, so you'd have to put on another bracket and then just use like an SMA to N type.
Yeah, but there
Why can't
again,
I hear who's talking? I heard
that is
Scarlet just
a
now.
that's
sorry, Mannix.
thing
Grumpy,
about
check,
how
make sure you
many,
didn't mute
what
Mannix.
size of antenna
Oh,
you
I might have had a
need.
mute from a while back. He made. That's what it is. Mute. Minx, I'm so sorry. I apologize for that. I can now hear him. Go.
No, I was just saying, you don't like the seed, so what about the D5 solar kit?
Because then I still got to get people to buy a V4 and program V4 and plug it in. And some of these public safety, the people that I'm talking to, I want to push them on something that they literally have to take out the box, flip it on. Yeah, you can need some minor programming, and basically that's about it. That's the D5 is probably closest. Does it have external Wi-Fi? Or do we know what the range of the Wi-Fi is and stuff? Because that is somebody actually mentioned that above. I am. Well, I was looking at that, but
Well, I think though you're trying to put the eggs in one basket, like one in
right.
one system, and not every system is meant to go on a 600-foot tower.
Right. Oh no, I mean, but depending on how you price it, I mean, this could easily go in somebody's house.
I think you're looking at it wrong. I think the thing, like, to build something that goes on someone's house, yeah, that's a under $100 type situation. For something for 600 foot up, that ain't $100 situation. You can spend $100 just on the freaking antenna if you want. Like it needs to be use case.
Exactly. But you could sell it that way though. You just
Just don't expect people to buy it.
not at my house. Yeah.
Just do it like simplified. Instead of having like 3 different options, you have a pro version and a home version, like Windows. They do the same thing,
you could do
basics,
that.
but the pro version is going to have a better antenna, better box, better this, better that for the professional use. And then the home one's just, okay, 2 years from now, it crapped out. Okay, cool. Here's another $80. Pop a new one back up in the tree. Problem solved.
Yeah, because somebody even made a comment about building a tree type repeater, and I'm like, they got enough. Like to me, I'm trying to provide something that's not out there. They got enough tree repeaters out there, They got enough of these small housing ones with, my thing is I'm trying to build something that, even like the D5's got a 5-watt, solar panel, depending on what 2 batteries you have in it. You don't know how long you're gonna get if you get a hurricane with 3 or 4 days of gloomy weather and stuff like that. I don't know, because like right now, if I get somebody right now who wants to like one of these EOCs, or because I got to go next week and do a PowerPoint type thing for MeshCore in front of all the hospitals in the region, and I know I'm gonna get after the meeting, just like the last meeting I have with public safety, is hey, what repeater can I go buy right now? I'm gonna have to mention the D5. That's the only thing I could honestly, and then tell them they have to, because don't you have to add the V4, or they have one that has a V4 already in it?
Heltec directly has one with the Heltec V4 included, I believe, but you're still gonna have to reflash. The other thing I wanted to bring on that is there is what you could do is either on the repeaters your cell, whether they be the board we were talking about before, Heltec V4, or any ESP32 based board, you could write fairly simply ish a custom firmware that you would flash when you would initially flash them, they'll open a Wi-Fi network called like I don't like grumpy repeater setup or whatever. The first
Grumpy
time you power
Wi-Fi.
them, yeah, grumpy Wi-Fi. The first time they power up, or the power up until someone connects to it and configures it. The first time you power it up, it could go in and bring you through like a quick web portal of setting all the settings, and then you'd hit confirm, and then the device would reboot, and then from then on would act like a normal repeater. That's an option too, so you don't have to put a USB report on, and the firmware for that wouldn't be too complicated. And then after that, it can just be used as a regular repeater.
And the guy from Ohio was talking that they just made their custom firmware where it makes everything easy for new people, and that's kind of what we're talking about.
Mhm.
KISS method.
Mhm.
Things to think about. All right, we will keep going for now. So this is another one that actually until the last two people answered. Majority of these people, this was 50-50 for the longest time. An ABS plastic from a 3D print or like a aluminum fab box or something like that. I wouldn't even know how to even start with the whole aluminum fab box because I know Avalox or whatever he is, he's selling them for like 40 or 50 bucks. And locally, I'm being told by several people, like they laughed when I asked about that. So I think it's going to be ABS plastic just from the hell of it. And
I mean, now see, I think this should be your pro versus your regular, because for a tower box, you want the RF, you want the Faraday cage that the metal box is giving you. But for 1,000 home repeaters in the area, you're not going to have nearly as much RF.
So the one thing on this is just if you do it, you want ASA. ABS breaks down with UV, so if you were to do it, you want to use ASA.
see, and I'm gonna tell you, 3D prints is something I don't know much about. I have watched 1,000 videos and reviews since we talked about it last week, and actually, my work has actually decided during the week, mysteriously, coincidentally, that we are getting a 3D printer because some of the brackets, some of the brackets that we were buying and putting into some of our outdoor enclosures for stuff that we do, the brackets have slowly just gone up and up and up. And we just said, you know what, this might just be a good time to buy a 3D printer because we can build them for what, an eighth of probably what, Axon or Axis cameras once for them. Like they're just getting stupid. So it just,
Whoever's the technical director of it definitely needs to get a raise.
yeah, I agree with you. My wife and I were just talking about that one, but
or let them retire.
no, oh man, that's actually 2 days away, at least eligibility. But anyway, so yeah, maybe we have to look at that, but getting the box made, or like somebody saying, I've had a couple people talk about using those Nebra boxes, those outdoor. I'm sure you've all seen them, those metal looking boxes. If everything could fit in there, I don't know.
Yeah, those little prefab ones for like $25.
Yeah, $31 on Amazon. I'm showing them on the screen right now. Those. I don't know. I don't know if they could fit everything. I would just have to think if you could fit everything, somebody else would be using them too.
It could be worth ordering one and just seeing 32 bucks isn't bad.
If it don't work, you always send it back. I don't know what
Well,
happened. It doesn't
I
work.
could waste
I've
$31.
seen these same boxes on eBay. They're in China and they're way cheaper.
Yeah.
But you got.
Well, I got a box like this. I got 2 boxes like this from Helium, Nebra.
Yeah.
So I got them sitting. The boards on the inside, they actually had pies in there, or not the exact pies. I forget what kind they were, but
CM pies.
and originally the Wii Hooper board would go into here, but Got what? I heard somebody way back in the background said they had something.
I think it was background noise, I believe.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I had somebody mention this from California, and that was his suggestion was to put this in here. But as you can see, majority of people said no. But putting some type of small fan that turned on at 100 degrees, just to and actually, I actually also saw this in the video with people who are using 18650 batteries or 21700 batteries, saying that the heat of when they get over 110 degrees, it does something to the life of the batteries or something, and so turn
It
the fan
does.
on at 100. But as you can see, majority of people disagreed with that, so I think we would save that. This was just try to get me a kind of general idea of what, of course, people saying they wouldn't pay more than $200. Even if you have $200 worth of parts, they wouldn't pay more than $200. I kind of figured that this would go. Like, who's really going to say, yeah, sure, charge me over $300? But, I don't know. When I asked about battery options, I kind of figured I was coming up with way too many options. But I just kind of wanted to have a general idea. But as you can see, they are all over the place. But somebody made a repeater a while back. It's probably easy to read it this way. So somebody made a repeater a while back where it came with the minimum amount of batteries, but there was an option. There was spots open if you wanted to order more, or you wanted to add your own. Somebody kind of mentioned that, plus it makes it a little bit lighter when you're shipping it, or whatever like that. Or some people just don't think they need 4 21700s for whatever application is. Or maybe we go back to, like somebody said, a pro mode versus a residential mode. A residential mode can have 2 batteries. Or we looked at the 18650s, but like right now, when you go to 18650 battery store, 21700s are half the price of 18650s. And you're getting almost twice the life out of them, or the milliamp hours. So this was where I was just trying to kind of give people an idea of what they would want. 21700s are heavier than 18650s, and then do you want the option to add? Do you want it to come with 3, then be able to add 2 more? This would be 5 batteries. You putting it up on a mountain on top of a tower, you never have to worry about it going out of power. If you have 5 freaking 21700 batteries, you're looking at almost 30,000 milliamp hours. So anybody have any thoughts about this?
As far as batteries, I don't see any nickel iron on there, which is a lot less prone to catching on fire. So when you're putting them on top of other people's buildings, when it's on your own house, hey, you're putting a fire risk on your own house. Who cares? It's your choice. When you're trying to put it on that middle level building or on a tower, they're going to be like, you're trying to use a lithium ion? Fuck you. No fire near my shit. Thanks. So,
Well, the way I look at that is right now, if this repeater is never invented, and right now you putting, maybe not you personally, but let's say 99% of the other mesh core people, if they're going to put a repeater on a tower, on a house, on a metal building or anything, what batteries are they putting in it? Lithium ion, right? And that's kind of how I looked at it, because you're going to have some people, and this is not just the mesh community, but the ham community and other stuff like that, the helium crypto community and stuff. They know that majority of people have put 21700 or so let's say 18650 or the flat pack lithium ion. When you try to start using a different battery they're not familiar with, they're going to push against that just because they don't know. It could be a better battery, but they can be like, well, wait a minute, all these other ones use lithium and this guy's
Right.
using alkaline. What the hell?
right. No,
Anybody else got feedback towards that? I'd like to hear y'all's.
Yeah,
To see if,
because and a point on that is then we could go light pure 4 batteries, which have crazy high not redundancy.
I've actually been looking for those.
So
That's what I was about to suggest. The same thing. If you're doing like the pro model,
you got enough room in there, you can throw a big LiPo battery in there that would run it for a month without even a solar panel on it. If something happens to the solar panel, a flock of birds comes over and dirties it up, it'll still run.
I've got one I'm testing now.
The Life Pure 4 battery lasts
Although
far longer
I
than
use them at
lithium.
work and they're very,
Yeah.
very light. I just, again, now I'm going back to form factor.
Yeah.
Sticking one in a box, I can really see tower climbing. They're lighter, but still, it's still the smallest LiFePO block battery, LiFePO whatever battery that I
Yeah.
could find. It's still going to be heavier than 3 or 4 18650 or 21700 batteries. You know,
It's also hard to find
yeah,
a battery
people are going to end up
portable.
getting hernias trying to lift these things up by the time we put the board in them and the solar panel and everything else. But again, like, you know,
Okay.
do you put that in the
For
in
the
the pro
first batch,
version?
yes, and then after that, it would be
Let's
manufactured
see.
by DLCPCB.
I love LiFePO batteries. We use them for ham stuff, and I always joke around with these guys. You know, I got this 100 or whatever it is, milliamp hour, the big battery, and when I go tell these guys to pick it up, it looks like a car battery, and they can't believe you can pick it up with literally 2 fingers. They're great, and they last forever, and they got a cliff. Like there's no gradual voltage drop. It's just either it works or it's dead. I love the batteries myself, but
I've got one I'm testing right now with LiFePO batteries in it.
But what's the battery? Is it a small block style battery or is it
Yeah, kind of like a
like a 10
lawnmower
milliamp
type
hour or
battery.
5 milli? Oh, that
7.
big? 7? Hey, look, I'm not
Uh-huh.
against it. I love those batteries. I just don't know if we need to change the charging solution in it and stuff like that. I mean, you know, do you offer again a normal version like y'all are saying and a
Well,
pro
you
version? And
you know, you're 12 volts, so everything's kind of different.
yeah, well, yeah, and then you got to put a buck
I mean,
load in it and stuff like that.
if we did do the pro and the regular, we could do the Heltec V3 and the Heltec V4 as part of that pro
No.
versus.
The whole thing is the
Oh.
grumpy board. That's what this is all about. The grumpy scarlet board. That's the fact.
Okay, dude, I haven't
I
been on this. I haven't been on the discussions for 3 weeks, so this is all new to me. So
you know, the whole part of the heart of it is the board that we're coming up with, and then what do we put around the board? Because I just look at it as there's
are
plenty.
you buying all the components individually and hot plate soldering them on yourself?
Scarlet.
Okay, you're gonna have somebody pick and pull them. All right,
Yeah.
fine. I mean, all right.
Those people who make those boards, there's nothing for them to pop those boards out. It ought to be automated.
Oh yeah,
No,
I'm
I
watching
know that.
Scarlet Stream. I can cut it up.
I realize it's automated. That's why I'm asking. The
grumpy board.
the big difference between, you know, something that's already pre-manufactured, be it a seed or a V4 or whatever, is they're making hundreds of thousands of them, which is why they can make them, you know, $8 in the case of the seed or 16 in the case of the seed NRF 52 version, you know, and so on and so forth. It's manufacturing by the numbers, right? Like we're talking about building what 100 of these things at a time. We're not going to be able to get it down cheap enough to compete with.
Well, to be fair, I don't think the goal is to compete. I think the goal is to create something that is significantly, yeah, English is hard, to a point where if you're going for a cheap repeater, yeah, go Heltec E4 or one of the seeds option. But if you're wanting something that has 1 watt, maybe more depending on your use case, is able to have is able to have a charge controller on it, but still be able to read your battery voltage. I think the goal of it isn't concerned about trying to get the lowest price, but trying to get something that if you want something,
You're trying to go for quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Okay, and the mesh guys have already built this board. I don't understand why we're trying to recreate something that's
Well, there's
already
no way.
out there.
It's me and Scarlett doing it. So
No,
it's this is something that other people have asked for. This board does not exist. Meshsmith has something close to
Got
it, but there's not a board out there that offers Wi-Fi on it. That also offers a
okay.
SMA. That
Gotcha.
also offers a 1 watt radio. Like we've looked, there's some that are very close.
Got
But like I even reached out to Wee Hooper at first and said, "Would you create something like this?" And he's like,
right.
"No, because I don't want ESP32 or whatever like that, and that kind of stuff like that." So this board that we're talking about creating is not out there.
Gotcha. Okay, and that's why I'm asking. I'm trying to get caught up
No.
on the conversation.
Part of me in the discussion that, and I asked this question later in this questionnaire is to some of these people is, would you be interested in just buying a board? And a lot of people answered, if the 1 watt ESP32 board that we're making with SMA connector and Wi-Fi was being sold as a standalone board, would you be interested in purchasing this if you didn't want to need the entire setup? And you got 45 people said yes.
Right. Yeah.
So therefore they can create, and that's kind of how I look at this also, is you sell this also as a third option. You can have a pro version, a home version, and then only the board. And you could sell it like that, and they can put whatever effing batteries they want in it, whatever size solar panel, whatever kind of container they want to put it in. They can do any of that.
So and I'm why the ESP board instead of the
Wi-Fi.
for the Wi-Fi? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm asking, just to.
Because no, it's a legitimate question, because that's what majority of people have asked so far, and even Wee Hooper said that. Why dare use an ESP32? When I told him the Wi-Fi, he's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I get it."
Right. I mean, considering with MeshCore which is what most of us are using, quote unquote.
Right. Correct.
The firmware can be stupid energy efficient just by shutting it off and on so fast that it doesn't matter anymore. So,
This isn't about saving power. This is strictly the Wi-Fi. This strictly came up with me trying to update firmware on a non-health tech. That's where this was born at. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's got to be an easier thing. I've always looked at it as every repeater that has been built to this day has been built for Meshtastic people, but it could also be programmed for MeshCore. And I've looked at it as, even though there's not really that much difference, I still looked at this from a marketing thing as, hey, here is the first repeater that was built specifically for the MeshCore community. And hey, if Meshtastic wants to try to use it, I don't care. But this is for the MeshCore community. And because right now, if you take a Seed P1 Pro and you put that on top of a tower, you're never updating firmware again until you get a tower climber to go up there and update it. Truth. And that's what this has come from. I have people and just so I can say that, I have people in the comments that are asking about 2 watts, or I have had more than 2 or 3 people ask me about a 2 watt version, and we're not going to do that just because, first of all, MeshCore, I don't think you can unencrypt, so it would never be legal, even if you're a ham, and I just don't want to have to deal with that, because then if you sell it, you have to get the person's ham license and that kind of stuff like that. So I can't see a ESP32. So somebody in here mentioned about how would we mount the repeater. I'm just thinking, just like you have pre-fabbed holes on the enclosure, like ears on the end of it, on both sides, with some type of pole mount, like that come with the antennas. And as you can see in the pole, that's where it's kind of split.
Those little aluminum brackets that come from Amazon that have the hose clamp, those
Yeah.
are amazing. And they're cheap. And they're very light. And they'll mount on almost anything.
But are you talking about the one that you're using for the antenna?
No, well, you can. I have used it for an antenna before.
Or are you talking about just the big U-bolt with a...
Nope, it's a Let me find it. I'll put it on the page.
Yeah,
Let me
found
Like
it,
a
put
like
on
a
there.
hose clamp style, right?
It uses the hose clamp. Let me go find it on Amazon. I'll be right back.
But you know, what I
So
think once we get the box figured out, then we can go. You know, you had 15 people who said just prefab the holes. We'll figure out how to mount it. A pole mount in the shipment, and then a pole mount already bolted to the enclosure.
There it comes.
Yeah,
And
something like that.
now I take those big ass clamps out. I don't even use them. I go to a small 2 or 3 inch hose clamp, and it just works. It's cheap.
Yeah.
And actually, I
And
found them cheaper than this.
and again, like my idea is, you know, like right now, if I use these on a box that I'm putting together, then I'm actually drilling holes through the box. I don't like how they just screw into the back. I just think those will get ripped out in some strong storms because the screws aren't really that big. I actually drill holes through the box and use a bolt, you know, put all the way through, and I just
Hold all the
silicone
way
the
through.
shit out of it. But I wouldn't do that for this. For this, I would try to put the like I said, ears or something above the box with holes, and below the box with holes that you can put this directly through with some type of bolt system.
The advantage of this little bracket here is that it's universal. It fits almost anything you can mount it to. Big
Right.
pipe, little pipe, square pipe, um, whatever.
Right.
It'll fit it. Like when I did the one in Madisonville, it was very simple because there was a square tube up on the ladder that I used to attach it to. Worked out real nice.
The next question I had was, should it include some type of antenna? My thought process was this with this is, let's say somebody really wants to use a backcountry antenna. The backcountry antenna is back ordered or won't ship until next week, and they get this in, and somebody wants to start playing with it today, wants to start programming it or something like that. Do you put some type of dummy antenna in there, or even the alpha? It's close enough to a dummy antenna that they could use until they swap it out. And actually, you had, you know, majority of the people say, no, don't even include antenna. And I can see the problem from both sides. If you do put some little piece of plastic in there that can be a safe dummy load so that you can program it, you will have somebody reviewing this thing on a YouTube or on Facebook saying, look at the antenna this thing comes with. And it's a piece of shit, and it's worse than the alpha, you know. But what y'all's thoughts on that?
yeah, I think no shitty antenna. A ducky is a bad idea for that reason.
So how I see it is the only concern about not including something is someone getting this thing in and wanting to power it up and just powering it up, blowing out the E22P Haltech V4 rack 1 watt, whatever is in it, blowing up, and then complaining, saying this thing's a piece of shit, it can't transmit. So
Well, what you could
Another
do. Oh, sorry.
another alternative is just to put a sticker over the connector and say, don't power it up until you have something on here.
Well,
Yeah.
fine. Rip off the sticker. Be a dumbass.
Well,
yeah.
what you could do is get like a get the rubber ducky antenna, but have a disclaimer multiple places, including the wrapper the antenna is going to come in. Put a sticker on it that says this is for setup purposes only, not for production. So it's something that will work temporarily. It's not going to be the best thing ever, but it will get them working till they get the better antenna in, screw it on there, and permanently place where they want to place it.
I mean, there's the option of cracking off the case and leaving it exposed, and then just putting on the PCB only used for testing, just to really make sure no one thinks it's for proper.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, will the little basic rubber ducky work? Probably enough to just do something. It's not going to be the best thing ever, but it's
It's kind of like the Alpha. Depending on what part of the country they're in, and they got 4 repeaters within a mile. I'm sure it would work. And then you got people using the same type of antenna called an Alpha, and you try to use it down here where your nearest repeater is 5 miles through 5 miles worth of trees, and it won't work.
Does the Musi people make an N-type?
Mostly they don't make any sort of N-type. They resell some, but yeah.
And how much? I mean, I've never really compared the two together, Alpha to the Musi. Is the Musi actually better than the Alpha?
On an SMA, it definitely reads better than an Alpha. Yes.
I think I do better with my Musi than I do the Alphas.
That's what
me.
I
agree.
We need them to make us an N-type connector antenna, a Musi type, flexible antenna that you can put on something that might have reasons it could get damaged.
And even on like the home version, having the little SMA Musi would work just fine for a home repeater, because the home repeater, you're assuming that there's other bigger repeaters like Exhibit A mine. You got Sherwood down the road from me. You got Blue Bonnet. It'll hit as neighbors, and it'll hit Losep as a neighbor easily up in my tree. The little Musi just fine on it. It doesn't need to be super antenna. It just needs to be a great antenna.
So I think the issue with that is a node like this could never be price competitive to that, and at that point, most people would either go to Seed Studio P1, which for that use case would work fine, or just build a Harbor Freight repeater for $30 and it would work.
If you ever run into Big Fish or BA55 bass, that's a Muzzy antenna on that. It reaches from Ocean Springs to Bay St. Louis.
That one adverted on me yesterday or day before yesterday on my little Lily Go I got sitting right next to me.
That whole setup is pictured. I put it in the thread a while ago. It's a 2-watt antenna. It's a black box that sits in heat on a steel plate all day long with a 3,000 milliamp battery.
How high up is it?
About 20 feet.
Oh, I see the picture. Yeah, the little solar panel.
Mm-hmm.
Is it glued to a brick?
It has magnets on a steel plate.
I'm more or less asked not really what antenna, but should there be? I get that's my biggest question is, should there be some type of antenna?
Negative, Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Just put a sticker over it and a big writing: "Do not operate without antenna." Period.
But I don't understand why you wouldn't supply an antenna especially if you're doing a home repeater and a mid repeater and a high end repeater.
Well, I would never recommend. I would never include a working antenna, because I can guarantee you, just in the 30 people who are in this live right now, we couldn't all agree on which antenna we would want. And some people,
we all want something.
everyone wants something different. And I've tried even to defend the P1 Pro with that same thought, that why include a 10 dBi antenna when I might be right down the street from a taller repeater? I don't need 10 dBi, so now I'm paying for a 10 dBi when I don't need it. Or if it only comes with a 3 dBi and I'm up in Franklinton right now, I need a 10 dBi.
Yeah, but you're selling to people that don't know, because they're buying this because they don't know.
No, some people know that it just don't want. I got guys in the ham community right now who want one, who called me earlier today about building them one, and they're just gonna pay me for it. And they know DBI, they just don't want to screw with it. They just don't want to screw with building it. You know,
I,
so
I think
I
one option could be is if you could just include it as an option of would you like it to include it, and then if so, you can just drop ship it from
Yes.
whoever.
yeah,
But that
I
has its
mean,
own amount of issues too. So
Yeah, but you make enough of them, you can ship like 10 of them to Amazon and then have them be the shipper and all that.
see, I don't know how that works.
Amazon takes a pretty
That
big cut too, and then
yeah,
you have to
that's
deal with people
Yeah, it's
returning.
true. They
yeah.
do take a
Well,
big chunk.
but I don't really have too much of an issue with that because if you look right now, how many times have we talked in this live that hey, if I go directly to whoever their particular website, yes, it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks to order it, but I'm also saving $30. Or if I go to Amazon, I'm gonna get it in 2 days, but I know I'm paying $30 extra. So the ones you sell with Amazon would just be, I'm just throwing numbers out there. Just, hey, it's going to be $30 extra, but you're getting it in 2 days from Amazon.
Yeah, because if you ship them to them and they take their little cutout, they'll put it in a warehouse, probably one in Baton Rouge. And if someone orders one in Florida, off it goes on a truck. Or someone orders one in New Jersey, off it goes to New Orleans to go on a plane.
Grumpy, you have the Grumpy Dad LLC, don't you?
No.
Yeah. So with Amazon, if you want to do that, they want
Yeah, it's one of the things I've been doing next week for about 3 years now. Yeah, it's always something coming up, but
You know, you also might want to consider if you look at that aluminum box that somebody put a picture on. It's that Bobcat box.
yeah.
That they built a board inside of there to hold all the other boards. That's fancy looking and really neat. Some kind of daughter board or PC board.
Well, I mean,
The-
I figured that there's all kinds of options you can make. You can make a board with a 3D printer that can hold everything, or you make one that just holds the PCB board and then a separate part that does the batteries, and then the battery holder would then attach to the other board type of thing where it's kind of segmented out. But if that makes sense, I don't know. There's so many different ways to skin this cat. All right, just moving on, and we could discuss it all after. But I added this one because somebody mentioned it. I don't put weatherproof pressure valves or anything like that on the bottom of any of my repeaters now, but I had a couple people ask about it, so I added it later. And so far, you got 63% people who say yes. I don't know. Somebody else talked about putting weep holes in the bottom, and while we kind of understand why you would do that, I do wonder, somebody who doesn't really know what's going on, or people up north who might not have problems with this temperature change that causes, moisture buildup inside of the repeater. I could see them knocking that. Why would you put little weep holes or this pressure valve or something like that on that? So what's y'all's thoughts on that?
Yeah, like me, I don't get it.
Have we had a homemade repeater since, because we started this early December? So we haven't
Yep.
had one that was home built survive a summer yet to see how it performs when it gets super hot. And then say you get like a thunderstorm
That's
come
correct.
through, the temperature gradient could go from 98 to 72 in about 20 minutes.
Right. Yeah, and
So
that
that's my
is
kicker
kind of
is
my
with the
concern
pressure.
because my original man shack repeater that everybody knows about, that originally one, and then I had another one right after that. I took a video of the water pouring out of it when I opened the door, and that was strictly from moisture buildup. Like there was
Another
nothing on the top
concern.
that would have caused leakage, but it was so bad because back then, if you remember, we were having these like 35-degree mornings, and it was getting up to 60s and 70s in the later afternoon. And I think that drastic change, because I haven't had a problem with mine since then, but I don't know. What are you saying?
And another concern is mud daubers around here. They'll find a little hole someplace and they'll go put mud in it and try to fill something.
I'm talking an 1/8 hole in the bottom of my
Yeah,
repeater.
it's basically the smallest
Smallest
drill bit
I
I
can
could
find.
find. Smallest drill bit.
I put
Like the
one in
pants
each
could get
corner.
in there, but
Not at 600 feet.
No, not 600 feet. I was gonna say like a drill bit about the size of an ant would get in there, and that's about it. Not a dirt dauber.
Yeah.
You would be surprised what bugs you do find up there on top of the towers.
If you use the vents, they suggest them to be on the side, not on the bottom.
And when you say vent, it's like a vent you'd find on a Pelican case where it would
Yeah, it's only one
crack
way.
open when it
I
got
got
to
them on
high.
Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of those are more pressure valves. These are like, oh God, what's the company that makes rain gear?
Gore-Tex?
Trojan?
Or North Face?
No. It's actually it lets moisture out, but it doesn't let moisture in. It's a fabric like your iPhone has for the speakers and things like that to make them waterproof.
Yeah, like the one I'm on the screen right now that I'm sharing, you can see that. That's the ones I was
You still got the
thinking
pie
that they were
charts up
talking
right
about.
Yeah, they're a hydrophobic type. I believe it's hydrophobic vents.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
on the speaker grills and whatnot on the phones.
Right. Yeah, like he's showing there. I use them. I've used them for years on my boxes since Meshtastic started, but I've had it up for, gosh, probably 3 years now with 18650 boxes, and I've never had any problems with water or anything.
So as of right now, it looks like that's something I probably might need to include. I mean, it's not like they're expensive, you know. Yeah.
They work well. I've got them on ours.
Yeah. Next, this is also a late thing I added because somebody else had asked. And I know I talked to one or two of you on the phone about it, but Scarlett's board that she's designing had the capability of adding a temperature and humidity sensor. And at first, we were talking about doing it inside the box. So therefore, you knew what the temperatures were inside the box. And hey, if you had a humidity being raised, that could also mean you possibly have some type of moisture in the box. But part of me looked at my paranoia self that, okay, so if I am seeing my temperature and my humidity getting too high in the box, what the hell am I going to do about it? If it's installed somewhere. But me being the weather nerd, I said, what about just putting a temperature humidity sensor on outside the box? I don't know. Y'all tell me y'all thoughts on that. Because a lot of people put it doesn't matter or no. So when you look at that,
I think you should make one for your testing only with them on the inside, so you can kind of get an idea how hot they really get, how much moisture you got. But at the end of the day, they should probably be on the outside if somebody wants that, because it would be nice to be able to get some weather from different spots.
That's an option.
Do you ever need to have an internal temperature gauge on it?
Yeah, because my
Can y'all
thinking.
hear me?
Now we can.
All right, I got lots of comments, but I was hoping to wait till Grumpy went through it all. But I'm gonna start with this temperature sensor. If it was me, I would make a board with that option on it and leave it at that. If you want to add a sensor to it, let the end user find the correct sensor and let them do the modifications to the box.
And are we going to have special firmware to be able to read that data? Where will it come out at? Where will we see it?
So by default, you could see it through telemetry. Some would be supported by the official firmware, and then some could be brought in through custom firmware. I haven't said this to like Grumpy or anything else, but I could throw on like an SD card reader on it, but again, it is you're adding more complexity. But I can throw on an SD card, and then in the future, you could put custom firmware to be able to log messages that move through it, log this, log that, log temperature, but a lot more than the mesh core flash could handle.
Yeah, because I was about to say that's similar to what the LilyGo does, because it has the SD card slot for the map and then the side panel connector for the weather sensor, and it will save the messages and whatnot on the SD card.
Let me tell y'all my train of thought. Can anybody tell? Look, if there's one out there, y'all not hurt my feelings. But can anyone tell me right now a pre-built, ready-to-go repeater that has temperature humidity sensors on them?
No, there aren't any that I know of.
There you
But
go.
here's another thing.
Solar one has a temperature.
Here's another thing you need to consider. If you ship it with the firmware, software, whatever, to handle temperature sensors, and you ship it with the hardware for the temperature sensors, who's going to be your tech support? Because you will have issues. So is that another can of worms you want to open up? I mean, this is all, geared towards the tinkerer, the experimenters. Let them experiment. Give them the base product to experiment with. And then if they want to add all these sensors and custom firmware and all that to it, let them have the headaches of figuring it out. Like I said, who's going to be tech support for the first person that can't get the temperatures set from Fahrenheit to Celsius or vice versa?
The same argument can be made for, oh, I wanted to flash this back to something else. I want help. Where's my tech support?
It's like mesh core, or you go to
Exactly. So
Heltec,
I mean,
there's
how
no
much tech support are you gonna offer? Because the more and more you get involved with it, somebody's gonna be looking for it, and the first thing they're gonna be saying online is, I spent $250 on this thing that's supposed to go out the box, and then I can't even get help when I have an issue. Just something to consider.
Well, we could do it as a group effort. We could set up a email address for like support, and then have like a group of us be like, hey, if you get an email from XYZ, and you could respond to it. So that way we have like a group, like what's it called, a community support type deal, where it's like, hey, all right, what's the problem? Okay, let me figure out what's going on. We'll get back to you, and then because this is all going to be maybe
That
20,
would
30 at the, like from the get go, not so many people that aren't already DIY in it. Because you go buy a Heltec V4 out of Amazon, you're not calling MeshCore for support when you can't get it to work. You're sourcing from the community.
Right.
But we'd have to write up some troubleshooting guides, some frequently asked question sheets, some step-by-step instructions, and all that. And at that point, does it work? Hey, send it back. We'll tinker on it, and then we'll send it back to you.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just pointing it out. Who's going to do that, and are you willing to do that?
So, Scarlett, I have a question.
Mhm.
Are you gonna have the pen out to have it be a pie hat as well for anyone who wants to have it be a pie logger like you've done?
So electrically speaking, it wouldn't. Yes, you technically could, but it would add. You'd have to add switches or cut traces. I'm open to making a hat because, to be honest, they aren't too complex. Assuming you're trying to add POV, they aren't too complex. It's just you're taking the pin out. So for the Grumpy board itself, no, but if the possibility of that happening in the future, yes, but other options do exist.
Okay,
How it
gotcha.
will be able to operate is as a KISS modem and PyMC, well, whatever they renamed it now, but I'm gonna call it PyMC repeater. PyMC repeater supports KISS radios, so over USB, it will talk to it and it will use it like it does on a Pi hat.
Okay, so it'll just be USB-C anyway.
Yeah. So both those will be supported on release. Well, this will be supported on release.
Gotcha. Perfect. That's like considering we're talking about making a pro, theoretical, then that would be a pro feature that I would think people would be serious about knowing so that they can log their traffic in their area to help, in collisions. So
What Quartermaster said yes. So from hearing all this, and I definitely like to hear obviously what Grumpy had to think, is just throwing on an ITC connector, labeling it as one, and then just let it be. If people want to add stuff to it, the firmware will obviously be open source. You can implement that if you want to. And then just by default, not including anything. And of course, leaving it open is if someone wants a temperature sensor,
They can just add one themselves.
Yeah, they can add them themselves. And it's just firmware support should work, but it's not, I think that'd be the best, but
Yep. All right. So some of this other, if I'll put this question, are we leaving anything out? And of course, see, this one's not mandatory like these other ones are. So you only had 23 responses, but basically, is anything we're leaving out to give you the perfect mesh core repeater? And these answers are all over the place. I can probably figure out with 2 or 3 guesses who left this. This is where somebody put the breather valves and some space to add packets. Move to NRF52 chip and use an IPEX to N type. Well, we're going from an SMA on the board to N type, so I don't see why we would go backwards to IPEX. My thing with the IPEX is, we've all heard the horror stories of the repeater gets dropped in the box. I mean, and the IPEX comes disconnected, and with an SMA, especially if we sell the boards by themselves, the SMA to me is a lot easier to deal with, and just regular SMA, not the reverse polarity. Filtering, cavity filter sensors. This I guess can go back to leaving space for people to do their own thing. I don't know. I guess you could fit a filter in it, like the ESP, well, the board that she's talking about using has some filtration in it. It's not the best in the world, but it's still some kind of filter in it, better than what, like, say, a V4 would have. But I don't know how big you'd have to make it to add filter and cavity filter and that kind of stuff to it.
So on this real quick, I did just talk to Wee Hooper and he had some sheets available. So what we could do is add it as an option to have it come with a filter built in.
You talking about the sheets of the ones that we were trying to get before?
Yes.
My fear was just whenever he runs out again and we can't get none in for 6 months, is that I didn't want it to be a standard thing because of the supply issue.
Yeah.
Like this person says, making affordable as you can with the audience. You don't need an $80 metal can when a $15 plastic box will do. I kind of agree with that. But going back to the 3D printed box, well, what color do you make it? Because out here, or California and some other places, Florida, when you get a black box, that's absorbing a lot of sun and a lot of heat. So what color do you make it? Like a light gray? That's what I'm leaning towards, or kind of a medium colored gray.
I was gonna say like a battleship gray or even like a brown.
Yeah.
Something that will radiate the heat out.
Yeah. Abel Non says he printed his in white ASA. I'm not a white fan. I'm too sloppy for white. That's why I cannot own any white shirts or white anything, because things get dirty. And you paid all this money for a nice repeater, and the first time you grab it with greasy hands, and now it's white. I don't know, but it does reject the sun and the heat the best, I guess. Somebody put, they don't think a custom enclosure is the right move. There are plenty of electrical junction boxes that exist with an outdoor use in mind. Might be most effective. I guess it's something you can look at. This person wants basically a whole new firmware path for admin to be able to remote manage or agreement station, join the emergency access, I'm joining that. And I don't know.
That could possibly be done with the same thing at the start. If you choose to implement the first power on, it creates a Wi-Fi network Grumpy setup. To do it like that, that wouldn't be that hard to implement. But it's still the choice of do you want to go that route?
Yeah. A medium version for already covered area, but peace of mind. Phone repeater type of situation. Everything there, you pick the board and add the batteries. Perfect mesh core repeater would connect all of St. Tammany Parish. Yes, I agree. So I guess we'll never have the perfect mesh core repeater. Antenna surge suppression included. I have mixed feelings on this. Because if you include it as if some kind of antenna surge happens and that thing clamps down, whatever you want to call it, or it becomes an open, then all of a sudden your device don't work anymore, and you have no idea why. I kind of rather just leave that to the person who is installing it.
As a power guy of 30 years, I have never yet found one that, even if it had the surge protector in there, that everything else was still completely burned up when I got hit by lightning. So I don't think you need it. Not on top of a tower.
As somebody who right now is waiting on 2 tower climbs for crap that's blown up on both towers, I kind of agree with you. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm not running surge suppression on any of my devices other than the Pi at 400 feet, because that is wired with, Cat 6 all the way down to my switch, which goes to other equipment. So I want the most protection I can on that. But the other 39 repeaters I have don't have anything. But free beer would be nice. Yes, I agree. Bourbon, nope, that's all for me. Voltage monitoring, since
share.
the 1 watt board will be looking for 5. So voltage monitoring is something, I don't think we really hit on that, but is something that will be included on this. Normally when you're using some type of solar controller and all that, when you try to see the voltage on your repeater, you always see 5 volts because of the board. Scarlett has this where it will be wired that when you check the voltage on your repeater, it will be the actual voltage on your repeater or your batteries. So I think that's pretty cool. It needs to be able to summon ET, power, solar control, switch capabilities, GPS. I'm totally against GPS because to me, it's a repeater that's not moving, and that's just one more thing to eat up battery life. Does everybody kind of agree with that?
Yes.
Option
If I
for
was muted,
bandpass
the only
filter.
thing I would say for GPS is for time syncing. Other than that, yeah, it's kind of useless.
Option again for bandpass filter. Make sure batteries are wired correctly for parallel. I do it wrong in my videos. Does anybody want to elaborate on this one? Because if I'm wiring my batteries wrong for parallel, I would have secret smoke coming out everywhere. Because I have actually...
Yeah, your voltage could be different.
Right. Because then you're doing it for series or something like that. And I have actually, without paying attention, because now I write on my batteries every time I write with a Sharpie, the plus and the minus. Well, one time on my 18650s, the little plastic on the positive side came off, and I didn't realize that the little button is positive, but the metal around the button is not positive. And
It's
that
negative.
that
Yeah,
was funny.
I've done that too.
When I almost evacuated the whole building because I thought the place was going to blow up. So my point is, I don't see how I'm wiring it wrong. Somebody told me once that if you're looking at the battery pack, say from left to right, and the positives are on the top, negative on the bottom, that you're supposed to put the positive lead on, like, say, the left side of the box and the negative on the right side of the bottom. So that you're pulling from all 4 batteries, but you're only pulling from the positive side.
Yeah,
trying to
parallel
say
is parallel is parallel. That person
right,
don't know what the fuck they're
right,
talking about.
and because I've seen people make this comment before that you don't want to put the positive and the negative all on the same side of the battery thing because you're pulling everything from the first battery and you're wearing out the first battery unevenly than the other. No, it doesn't work like that because you're pulling from the
No, it's
positive,
parallel.
right? Okay, I'm just making sure I'm not the only
That's
one.
only an issue in high amperage situations, like if you have multiple like 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphates in series, and you parallel them all up, and you're only hooked in to like the set on one end. Then it's depending on your cable that you jump them all over with, you can have voltage drop over them and all that. So that's why, at least in a higher amperage instance, you would hook your negative on one end of the bank and your positive on the other, so it's more evenly charging and discharging. I've tested this on the 18650s with like a 20 gauge hookup wire, and I didn't see any drop. I mean, you're only looking at like an inch of wire if you're going to jump them all in. So, I mean, it's not even an issue in our instance.
So I don't got to worry about that. Next, an end style mount on the bottom of the case for the Wi-Fi antenna. This opens up tremendous flexibility in mounting both the enclosure and Wi-Fi antennas for best performance in a large variety of situations. I don't know of any end style mount Wi-Fi antennas. Does anybody else like? I don't know where that came from. So there's a Wi-Fi
They're
antenna on
out
the
there.
bottom.
I've seen them in the field out there. I mean, for 2.4 gig wireless.
Right. I just don't think it's
I don't think it's needed either.
Right. A magnet mount option, so a fishing drone can drop on top of a tower and eyelet on top, so we can retrieve it later if needed. Stop using SMA-RP if possible, as most antennas are not, or I guess, reverse polarity. High quality, low loss coax for the pigtail to the end header. End male, female question above, make it for the antenna. The SMA is going to be on the board itself. In the board, there's going to be, a jumper that goes from SMA on the board to the end connector on top of the box. Like, I'm not using any antennas with SMA on it. Anybody have any idea what? And then the whole magnet mount option. I don't know about that either.
As far as options like that, I'd be willing to deal with options that are custom, so that we can have the one thing that's the thing, and then, hey, I want a magnet one. You can be like, hey DJ, figure this out, and you can ship it over to me. I figure it out, and I ship it off to them. Like that way, people that have odd requests like that can still be serviced without driving y'all crazy.
Right.
As
Because
far
again, while I want this to be different than what's out there, I
Right.
still also refer back to tell me another repeater that's out there right now, another pre-built repeater you can buy from, Avalox or Amazon or somewhere like that has a magnet mount option to do this kind of stuff.
Right. Now,
I just-
are you going to be part 92ing this with the FCC?
Well, to me, it's the board that she's using is already FCC, right? That's the same thing that they're using for everything else.
Okay,
The
gotcha.
ESP, I think it's stamped on the
Gotcha.
ESP, right, Scarlett? If I'm
Okay,
not
cool. I'm
mistaken?
just making
Yeah.
sure.
Yes, ESP32 is already FCC certified, and AT22P, I believe, so also is.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
You know, I know that was one of Wee Hooper slash West Coast Meshes things. Was like he builds stuff that's higher wattage, but you know, I was like, hey, I don't have my stuff yet, and I'm not going to be running it at any of those wattages. He's like, tough. You don't have your stuff. I'm not selling it to you. And I just want to
Right.
make sure we're not.
And that's why I brought that up earlier when somebody else asked about 2 watt is I'm not going to sit here and want to keep records of who's buying 2 watts with, what call sign they use and is that call sign expired, and I'm not dealing with all that. I just
Right. Exactly.
and then same thing, and then you can't use it unless you're running unencrypted messages, which I'm not even aware of an option with MeshCore that you can make your messages like. There's no reason to deal with all that, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
Um,
Perfect.
Somebody said consider a solar shield to reduce heat buildup by deflecting direct sunlight away from the enclosure surface.
Yeah.
So
That's called
yeah.
aluminum tape, and you slap it on there, and it's done.
Well, or I looked at also is that the solar panel is really going to be on top of it, so that's basically taking your solar rays and blocking the box, right? Am I thinking of that wrong? I don't know.
I would agree with that for half the day, but not. You know, the sun moves, so yes, that'll work for the noon hour. You know, which is the hottest part of the day, which is the part that matters. So yes, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
Well, that just gave me an idea.
And what's
You
that?
could put like a little like TP style slanted roof over it with an air gap in there for like direct sunlight. So the solar panel might be on top, but it's got that little air gap shaded spot just to give it a little bit more heat resilience, kind of like a little birdhouse looking thing.
So look, 56 got 56 responses. So we've had 3 or 4 people who added since then. And you still at almost 50-50 as far as the USB port. ABS is pulling ahead. It is.
Well, how difficult would it be to add a USB port for a rooftop mount solution versus a tower mount solution? Because it's on a tower, you're really not worried about it. But if it's on a building, you could go up there with a laptop and troubleshoot it quicker.
I guess my point is I don't see the harm in adding it, and if you never use it, you never use it. Like the USB connectors that I found online have kind of they're almost identical to the one like the P1 Pro has. It's got a weather cover that goes over it, so if you're not using it, you don't use it, and they're cheap as hell because all they are is a little USB jumper to the board USB. So why not just add it for the hell of it?
They also have some that have a screw-on cap with an O-ring if you really want to protect against weather.
Right.
And it's a USB C or an A.
C.
C.
Hey, Grumpy, can you hear me?
Yep.
That would also make production of these a lot easier if you were to have like a testing firmware on them at the start before shipping them.
Wait, say it again. Say it again. I was reading something.
It would make it a lot easier, especially if you had a testing firmware at the start, and to quickly reload like either initial build with either like a test Wi-Fi network or just regular like a new build, just a lot easier when shipping them out.
That's something else that just popped in my ADHD brain. We were talking about Amazon earlier about shipping them like pre-built to Amazon. It would be probably more expensive for shipping, but having an option where like, okay, you can buy it on Amazon, or you could buy, because I know you can do direct ship from your person to someone that bought it on Amazon. If they wanted to have you program it and then send it to us, all we have to do is mount it to the building and be done with it solution.
Well, y'all can call me lazy, but again, if these things start kind of taking off, I could see me losing my mind trying to get each person's special request, or you know, a solution for this, a solution or an option for this, option for this. That's why I was more going towards like this is the box, you know.
This is it.
Take it
Take it or
like
leave it. Yeah, I kind of agree with
because
you.
I could just see me going through this order form and accidentally missing
Yeah, I'm with you there.
something, and then when they get the damn thing in, it doesn't have the temperature sensor, or it doesn't have the extra thing that we were supposed to add, or we did add it, and then we say, "Did you charge me for this? I didn't ask for this option." You know, I could just kind of see that. You know, I'm not necessarily against having a home version versus a tower version, but it would still be like the tower version has this in it, the home version has this in it. Like I can't see me having a tower version that has, hey, you could also order this with it, or an option for this, or an option for this, and then a home version that has an option for this, or option for this, option for this. You see what I'm saying? Like I could still see me like the idea of having a pro or a tower version versus a home version, but I can also I also know people. I've been around the ham community for 12 years. I also know that no matter which version you give them, they're going to bitch about.
Ah,
Back.
So do you just go back to making this is the one version where we're building and you buy it if you want it. If not, like somebody said earlier, you go back to the P1 Pro.
Or you sell them the box, and then like if you want to add it on later, here's the ability to add it on later.
Right.
We'll help you out if you need to answer questions, but here you go. You can just add the modules later, make it modular.
Grumpy.
Yep.
All right. I got a lot to say. I just asked that you let me get it all out and then comment.
I'm not surprised, Scott, at all. But keep going.
I work in a manufacturing facility. I see a lot of nonsense. So I'm looking at it from a manufacturing perspective. You keep it simple. You offer maybe one or two options, and the option would be, yes or no. Do you want this? Yes or no. That way, if it's yes, it means just drilling another hole in the box and adding a USB connection or whatever it is. If it's no, then no big deal. Because if you start adding all these other options, you don't have a um, standard build. Everything is going to be a custom build. And I don't think that's what you want to get into. You want to offer a standard build. If people want to modify it, once they receive it, that's on them. If you want to offer a home rooftop repeater and a tower repeater, I think that would be a good way to go. And then maybe you can offer, say with the home, you could have maybe two other options where you can have a shell holder for 18650s or the 21700s, and then maybe another option would be your mounting bracket. You could have this or this. And if those two options don't work for how you're mounting it, well, sorry, you're gonna have to modify it yourself. And the same with the
And figure something out.
pro version. You could have a couple of options where it's yes or no, and all it involves is mounting something in the box or not mounting it, vice versa. Because like I said, when you start adding more and more options, every order is going to be a custom build. And that's what you don't want to get into.
That's right. And I was about to say that I just didn't want to cut you off. But
And
because
as
while I
far
had
as Amazon,
go ahead.
once you make your first million, then I would consider going to Amazon. I've looked into fulfillment by Amazon. I mean, you're going to be paying shipping just to send it to their warehouses, and they're not going to say we want it in one warehouse. That's the beauty about Amazon. They stock stuff all across the nation. That's how you get it delivered same day, next day, 2 day. People are going to go on Amazon and see, just like you said, well, I can order it from Amazon and pay $30 extra and get it in 2 days. Well, if they go on Amazon and they see, well, here's Grumpy's repeater, but it's going to take 5 days because it's only stocked in Baton Rouge and I'm in California. they're not going to order. So screw the Amazon for right now. I wouldn't even think about that. There's all kind of other nonsense dealing with Amazon. You got to package it correctly. You got to have it labeled correctly. It's nonsense right now. But my opinion, start out with the home version and a Pro Tower version. Offer one or two options where it's either yes or no. And that way you can actually build some of these and have them on hand ready to ship. Another thing I would consider is maybe not shipping with batteries. I understand your point. You want something basically where you can say, here you go, add an antenna, and you can be on the air. But the batteries, they're not above the limit where you would need to declare it as a dangerous goods. They're under that amount. I ship dangerous goods. I know what I'm talking about. But you need to have the proper labeling and all that. And then even if something happens where one of them shorts out and starts a fire, that's another issue with, for you. But the odds of that happening are pretty slim, but it's just something to consider. And like I said, that's from my viewpoint. I ship stuff all day long, and I'm also in a manufacturing facility. So take that for what it's worth. Thank you.
No, I appreciate all that because I was curious on the House of Network, and I didn't want to cut you off in the beginning, but the thing with the different options is if you ever start selling this on some type of website, which I guess you are, whether that's Amazon or whether that's some other kind of electronic website, is you're not going to go to Amazon and pick these different options. It's going to be like this one, or maybe this one, the Pro model or the Home model, but you're not going to have all these different options. And same thing as if you're sitting here pre-building, 10 of these or 15 of these, whether it's in your house or your buddy's garage, you're trying to pre-build them so that they're ready to ship. And when you start giving these different options of adding this, subtracting this, or adding this, then you're almost defeating the purpose when you have to sit there and adjust it before you send it. That's, again, why I go back to ideally, I would like one box. This is the Grumpy Repeater, or the Grumpy Peter, or the GP1 King, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Because I can't use the word pro, so I got to go above pro. So I'll have to say king or god or some shit. I don't know. It's a joke. But basically, I just think it's easier to sit here and just pump out several repeat, boxes and boards and put them together, stacking them up in the corner, taking a voodoo doll and sprinkling good luck dust on it to hope that they even freaking sell, and go from there. I just think the more variety you have, the more different costs it's going to be and that kind of stuff like that. That's just kind of how my thoughts are on it.
Yeah, and I agree, because if it'd be easy to say, well, do you want to add this USB connector? If so, it's another $5. But to sit there with a whole menu of 10 different options and trying to figure out, well, how much extra is this, this, and this, but not adding this, this, and this, I'm not saying it's the derogatory manner, but you're not a big,
No.
you're
I'm
not,
saying it's derogatory. I'm learning from all this.
but
I'm
you're
trying to
not,
keep it
you're not a
simple.
manufacturer,
Nope.
So keep it simple. If, like I said, once you sell 1 million of these things, then you can look at the different options and warehousing and sourcing thousands and thousands of components at a time. But right now, it's a hobby. Keep it simple.
Well, and right now, the majority of this is going to be coming out of my pocket, and so I can't afford to do all those other things
Right.
you talk about until I would sell a good amount of the first ones. Then I could see about affording the next up.
Right. And once you start selling some and get some feedback, it may allow you to tweak things
Yes.
to where it will lead to more sales, or even tweak it to where it lowers your costs. you know.
Right.
But yeah, we can all sit here and say, well, yeah, my perfect repeater would have this, this, and this, and this. Well, you can't scale it with 100 options.
Right.
You know,
And that's why I kind of did
you know,
this poll
Ford,
thing, because my hope was that this poll would kind of help me narrow down the options also, so I wouldn't have to make things different options. I could say, hey, I did a
right,
poll, 100 people answered it, and 80 people wanted this thing. Well, that made my decision for me.
right.
Now, yeah, 56 people, and a third answered one way, a third answered the other way, and a third answered another way. Well, I'm back to where I started at.
Well, you know, Henry Ford said it. You can have it in any color you want as long as it's black.
Long as it's black. Yep. Can't
You
make
know,
100% of the
but
people happy
like I said,
100% of the
I mean,
time.
we
Oh, I
we
know that.
build we build 400,000, 500,000 water treatment systems at work. We we have a catalog that shows all the systems, what they're capable of, all the specs, and all this nonsense. But we could build two of the same systems out of our catalog side by side for two different customers, and by the time they're built and shipped, they are not identical because they get customized for those two customers' needs, whether it's changing a valve out to a different type of valve or totally reconfiguring how the piping goes. You know, so we can never have a system in stock because we may never sell that system because the customer wants it tweaked for their purposes. Well, when a customer's spending 500,000, you could do that,
Yeah.
you know, but you're talking about a repeater that's 200, 300 max. You know, you don't want to sit here. I mean, even if you had all the parts, I mean, the labor involved in tweaking every single one that you put your hands on it would just be stupid. You know, you're gonna forget. Well, what was I supposed to put this in this box and this box, or you know, oh, I drilled a hole for
Exactly.
this, but it wasn't gonna go in this one. Now I gotta wait for an enclosure to show up. Yeah, you know.
Now I
And
gotta
as
use a
far
different
as
box.
someone
Yep.
mentioned, well, drop ship antennas. Well, that's great. Okay, I'll place an order with you for the repeater, and I'll also pay you for the Rockland 10 dB antenna. Well, you get the order, you go to order the antenna. Oh, sorry, it's on back order with Rockland. Well, now what do you do as you're the seller? What's Grumpy
Right.
going to do to make me happy now? Nothing, because there's nothing you can do. But if I say, well,
Right.
hey, Grumpy, you
That's
got
right.
an antenna to get with that? And you say, no, but here's what I recommend. Then your hands are clean.
Yeah, I see the intended thing being pain in the ass no matter what, because I look at my own self, and a lot of y'all might find this hard to believe, but even though I have installed over 40 repeaters, I have yet to install one with a backcountry repeater. Why? Because to this day, all my repeaters I put together myself, and I either had the layered antennas here, a stack of them, or I bought everything from Amazon. Period. So you might have people out there, these agencies or whoever, that say, you know, we don't want to order from a place called Rockland that we don't have an account set up with, tax exemption or whatever like that, but we can order from Amazon, but the antennas on Amazon, those are in female on the end, so they're not going to fit on your repeater. So now we don't know what the hell we're going to do as far as antenna. You know, I could just see that antenna is going to be pain in the butt, but I do agree with you that I'm not a fan of drop shipping, because even if the antenna gets lost or cracked, 'cause I have personally seen that UPS, you know, must have stood on the box or used it as a baseball bat. So then when that person's antenna gets cracked, well, now I have to deal with Rockland or UPS and not the customer. So I rather just say, here's the box, figure out which antenna you want.
I would agree with that. And from a shipping standpoint, I mean, the antennas we're using, They probably weigh less than 2 pounds once they're boxed up. But a 2-pound box that is 4-inch by 4-inch by 30 inches long is going to cost you a lot more than a 4-inch square box that weighs 2 pounds as well. Because, everybody factors in not only the weight and where it's going, but the dimensions, so you'll be paying more for a longer box.
Well, y'all can call me lazy, but I can tell you how initially these are going to be shipped. Is a USPS flat rate medium box. Because I think if it fits,
If
it
it
ships.
fits,
Because
it
that's why I ship
ships.
everything in when I send stuff around the country, because majority of the time, by the time you figure the weight in it, if you tried using UPS or FedEx, the USPS post service flat rate box is cheaper. And depending on which box I could use, if I can fit it in the medium box, at $13 to $14, especially if you use some kind of shipping service, it gets you a little bit of discount on that, and you don't have to worry about it getting there and finding out they need additional, or whatever. It fits, it ships.
Right. And I
If it
mean,
gets there.
if you wanted to go with UPS, I think someone else earlier in the week had recommended pirateship.com. I can tell you from experience, pirateship.com, I don't know how they're negotiating their rates, but sometimes their rates are less than what my corporate rate is at work if I was to ship with UPS. Everything the same, but pirate ship sometimes will be anywhere from $5 to $9 cheaper than if I use my corporate account, which we have negotiated rates for as well. So that's just an option as well. Like I said, pirate ship, they got some fantastic rates. Now, if it's all, flat rate, well, yeah, they're not going to beat a flat rate price, for the same service. But if you don't use a flat rate box and you cut down on your weight, pirate ship may even have a better rate for first class parcel service versus the flat rate box. But that's further down the line. You can just investigate it once you get your build and your box and all that to where it's a standard size. You can start pricing all that out. Did I lose y'all?
No, I'm just thinking, looking at a couple of different things.
You get a patent on I think Scott had some great ideas, though. And I like the way he held all of his questions to the end, and he had some really good points. And the one I thought about the most was the batteries. He's absolutely right. Make things a whole lot easier to worry about shipping batteries. But
Yeah, I didn't think about that either.
Like I said, it's under the limit. You can ship probably 10 of the 21700s and still be under the limit to where it's not a dangerous good, but you would still need the proper labels on it.
Yeah, because I ship laptops pretty much every day to different sites we have users at. And yeah, if I gotta use a custom box, I gotta put that little label on there, even for a laptop battery.
I have to declare the item as a dangerous goods shipping overseas to ship one 2032 battery cell because it's regulated as a dangerous good. But if you're shipping by air, and it adds an extra handling charge to it, and you got to put it in a larger box because you got to put all the labels on it, you got to put all the paperwork with it, and FedEx is the worst. If you have one little thing out of line, like something covering just a centimeter of the label, they'll send it back and reject it. Even if they put their own label on top of it. I've had that happen before.
I think listen, I've thought about the battery thing, and that has been something that's been on my mind a lot because of shipping, and I'm not really 100% familiar on the shipping part. So I am glad that he clarified some of that. But I also go back to what is the goal of this, and if I guess I looked at it as if these other repeaters can ship with batteries in them, there shouldn't be an issue with me doing it. I guess I kept it as simple as that because I do worry that, yes, we're supposed to be selling a repeater that's ready to go when it arrives. Oh, yeah, but you do need to order some batteries. Oh, you do need to order an antenna. So the more you have to get them to do it, and then, you have to worry about somebody who might completely new to this kind of stuff telling them, make sure you don't put them batteries in backwards. Make sure it's not like, everything else in your house that's batteried in series where it's positive, negative, positive, negative. Make sure you put it in like I don't want to have to worry about that kind of stuff. That's kind of how I lean towards that.
Yeah. Well, with the batteries, you should be fine as far as it's ground shipping. You would just have to have the proper label on it, which I can help you with that, and you can probably get the labels off of Amazon.
But the USPS, like a flat rate box, that's got to be air though, right? They're not ground shipping those, are they?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, and I'm not sure. I'd have to look into their regulations for batteries because I deal with UPS and FedEx and freight carriers.
I don't know about where y'all live, but where I live, postal is horrible here.
Oh yeah,
they're the worst out of all of them. I'd rather carry it somewhere myself and walk 5 miles than ship it with the post office.
I found what I found in all the show. I used to sell a lot of stuff on eBay, and flat rate boxes, because of the tracking and the priority and stuff. Knock on wood, I never had an issue with a flat rate priority box. But when I would try some of these other things that they had, like straight shipping or big manila envelopes and stuff that didn't use all that, they lost. I would say, I don't want to lie, 25% of the shit I shipped. I think it's just because it's handled different. I think it's handled differently.
Yeah, I've had the same experience. Some priority mail, flat rate boxes, no issues. Number 10 envelope, sent first class mail, would never get delivered.
Yeah, like on something like this, my thoughts are, it's either USPS priority box or a completely different service. If I'm not going to do the flat rate box, it's going to be a UPS type thing or something like that. That's how much I don't.
Yeah, because if you make a FedEx account, you can do their flat rate boxes, and one that should fit a repeater, I think was like $12 last time I shipped something in one, so it wasn't horrible.
Well, once you decide on a build and you also got to consider, if you're not shipping flat rate box, you got to consider the cost of the boxes. You got to also consider the cost of packing material. Once you get all that together, if you want, get with me and I can look at some options to, like I said, deal with shipping every day.
Yeah, my first thing is, let's get the damn repeater finished, and what we are going to definitely put in it. And what about? I wanted to ask y'all this earlier. What about most of these don't have, or at least I don't think they do, an on-off switch. So like, are they not powered on when they ship, or are the people still having to put the batteries in when they get there? Do you put the little piece of tape that blocks the contacts, and they pull the tape out, and that's when it lights up? Do you put an on-off switch that's in line with the battery positive, so that they can turn it on and off when they want to?
If I was you, I would find the cheapest weatherproof on-off button you could, and that would be standard if I was building it.
That actually, like Scarlett, how much would it change the design to do like how the WeGo tracker does, where it's got the switch built onto the board?
It wouldn't be too hard, but the issue with that would be is depending on how thick the enclosure is, that would be the issue with it.
Well, just having it on the board itself, so you could like go in there and open the case and flip it off if you needed to, or
Yeah,
before you
that's
install
definitely
it,
an
flip it back
option.
on.
Yeah, and that would be very easy to implement. It's just a question of would it be better just to run an external power switch or not, which could be better, but I don't know. It depends on how Grumpy thinks of it.
Yeah,
I
you have
wasn't
a
even
switch
thinking
on
of
it.
something internal. That would.
You have a switch on it. Some wise guy, crackhead tower guys up there. Hey, what's that do? Press that button. If y'all ever met some of these tower guys, not including me, a lot of them are crackheads, dope addicts, and they will screw with anything they can screw with up there.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of thinking of having it on the board itself. That way, it's like a little
Inside,
bandwidth
yep.
thing.
They even open up your cabinets. You got to hope so that they shut your cabinet back up.
Yeah, I guess I go back to looking at trying to keep people outside of the inside of it as much as possible. If there's no reason to open it for any reason, to save them the headache, I don't know,
Well, guys, I gotta jump out of here. I've said my opinion for whatever that's worth, and I'll maybe teach you a message later, Grumpy, with some more ideas.
I appreciate it. Thanks for the feedback.
Have a good one,
All right,
Scott.
have a good night.
Have a good one.
Pretty good meeting there, Grumpy.
Well, I didn't want it to be just all about this. I mean, we got other stuff going on too. I didn't think
There
it
are a
would
couple
take
things I wanted to bring up that's not about this to talk with Scarlett a little bit about today. Pi MC, they changed their name. Supposedly there's another Pi MC that's, I don't think it's even related to Meshcore. It might that be, but then it could be the fact that Meshcore people with that same deal with the other Meshcore site might have made him change it. What do y'all heard anything about the Pi MC name being open hop now?
That's news to me.
Yep, it's now open hop.
Say that's new.
Who cares what they call it, as long as it works.
As long as it works. But why would you come up with a name that doesn't even make sense? I mean,
Well,
it has no open.
First hit on Google for PyMC is a probabilistic programming library for Python. So maybe they're trying to avoid a popular package name.
Yeah, maybe so. But why open hop? I mean, that doesn't even make sense to what they're doing. They're a mesh network that has nowhere in the word mesh in the name of any kind, not Meshtastic, not core. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, it at least it's a name that's something, but I don't know. Scarlett, what did you find out?
I took some look at it, but I didn't see too much info on it.
Right.
I was reading up on it earlier and seeing that if anybody has a PyMC running, it might want to go to, I guess it's their open hop Discord, read around in there, because they were saying to or you try to run a update, there's some command lines that you have to enter in to redirect your update to the new URL. So just a heads up.
You would think they would put a big announcement about that or something like that, so that you didn't have to go dig for that.
Well, I just happen to have it on
sense.
their Discord, and it lit up earlier, so I had opened it up and it had all the write-ups and all on it. So Just letting everybody know.
Hey, Scarlett, speaking of Pi MC, did you get my Pi programmed yet?
I haven't had a chance to program it.
Okay.
I think you might have shot me a text about it, and if so, I am so sorry for not responding to that.
I did, but I figured you were busy. It's all right.
Yeah, sorry
I
about
figured I
that.
got a chat ask.
Yeah, I'll try to get that done this week.
Okay. Again, whatever. Ain't the end of the world.
Absolutely.
I didn't even
Missing
realize
here.
of that name change, and I was wondering. Excuse me. I was wondering how you had all of a sudden I had some new server on my Discord list called OpenHop. I never clicked on it to see what it was.
That's
It's
it.
a new thing about rabbits that can openly jump over stuff.
I
Something
don't
to do
know.
with Bugs Bunny and Yosemite Sam and something like that.
I DM'd right up about the name change and about having to make changes before you update. I'm curious to see what he says.
And why did they not put a vote out? Hey, give us some good names.
Well, he's saying he's saying it's a couple different people involved in it. So
Yeah. And aren't they also out of the UK?
are they out the West Coast?
I don't know. Because when I went to the Open Hop page, it has UK beside it. Maybe there's a second one.
Right Hub is based in the UK.
What'd you say,
Right
Scarlett?
Hub is based in the Right Hop, I think is his name, is based in the UK.
Okay.
Yeah, the website's openhop.dev, DEV. And he's got a flasher. So he has his own mesh core firmware also. Coming soon.
Their GitHub page has a logo, and then it says followers, and it says United Kingdom.
Be right back.